All right, welcome back to another episode of the Buffalo Happy Hour. What's up, Mike?
Derek, we are in the distilling section of Hartman's Distilling.
Absolutely. Justin Hartman is here from Hartman's. How are you?
Good guys. How's it going?
Good, very good.
Thanks for coming down.
Absolutely. So this is a relatively new area, right?
Yes, the first ward's kind of been coming around in the last year or so, and this whole complex is brand new.
Yeah.
I think still under a year old.
Can you tell everybody where you are at right now?
55 Chicago Street.
Okay,
yeah.
Perfect. You can see the grain silos, right? Is that what they are?
Yep, right across.
The Levant Blue silos, too?
Yes,
Pretty
right
sweet.
across the river from Riverworks.
This is a beautiful area, too.
Thanks.
And a beautiful distillery that you have. It just exudes classy.
Huh? All right, thanks. It wasn't me. It was all the wife or aunt or cousin.
Is that what you were going for? More of a higher-end look to it?
Well, initially, in my mind, it was like a concrete bar and a still in a garage and serving whiskey over that. Then the ladies got involved, and they upped the game a bit. So at that point in time, we're like, all right, let's try to make it more of a classy establishment.
Sure, absolutely. Cool.
It's pretty exciting because the first ward, like you said, has been coming up for a good while, but to actually have a place that you can go to before big events like tonight, there's a Sabres game, and then still come here, have a nice cocktail, great food, which we'll touch on, and actually have parking is, I think, pretty rare. So kudos to you guys because you hit it on the head.
Thank you.
Yeah. So what do you guys offer here from distilled spirits?
Sure. Right now we have our signature bourbon, which is a blend of a high rye and high wheated bourbon.
Okay.
That kind of is our pride and joy and what we spend a lot of time coming up with creating. We also offer a rye whiskey, 95% rye, 5% malted barley, about 3.5 years on that.
Mm-hmm.
And then recently, a few weeks back, we released our vodka. And it's been getting pretty good reviews so far. And we're currently in the process of making a gin. In fact, today we were putting a batch through, and we'll see how it turns out.
I love it. Today's the day.
Yeah.
And we're going to come to an interview.
That's why there's a little bit of smell of botanicals in the air.
So nice, though.
It is. It's a nice little offering that you have. And then you got a basket in there right now, correct?
Actually,
on the other side?
Yes. So the gin basket will go in here. It's the copper basket kind of off camera right there. So
there she is.
Put that up about a fifth of the way, fill it with botanicals. The vapors pass through there, pick up the aroma, infuse it right into the gin product. Yeah, but the trick with gin is you got to wait a few days, which some people don't realize, before you really see what the exact flavor profile is going to be.
Sure.
It's like one of those spirits that mature a little bit. So we'll know in about 3-4 days.
So what flavor profile are you going for with it?
We wanted a citrus forward juniper taste.
Okay. Interesting.
So a little lighter, but we didn't want to lose the juniper. It's an American-style gin, but the American-style gins have kind of, in my opinion, gone away from the juniper a little bit too much, so we wanted to kind of dial that in. We did do it on a test still. That's about this big. So, and we did many different variations and flavors, and we came up with one we really liked, and then it's all about trying to scale it up. Because it doesn't really scale up 1-to-1. You know, like
Gotcha.
One bay leaf doesn't translate if you just increase it by 10 pounds. It could have that.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah.
So it's not a simple mathematic equation.
No, it's not at all.
A lot of trial and error.
And I think we're on the error side right now.
Nothing wrong with that.
How much would this make if you wanted to put all of it in and say we're going to make our first batch? How much would it make?
Of the gin you're talking about specifically? Well, it's 660 working gallons. I think we did, in our first batch that we just did here today was 100 gallons.
Okay.
110 gallons. But that scales up after you proof it down to roughly 400 bottles.
Oh, okay.
So imagine that times 6, so it gets up there. Yeah. We put ours through this still right here. This is a designed whiskey still. It's got the whiskey helmet on top, 4 plates, so it allows for a more gentle distillation, which you kind of want because you want to pick up the flavors of the corn, the wheat, the rye, the malted barley, as opposed to just a straight plated column where you're kind of trying to strip as much of the flavor away as you can, like vodka. That's why they use 20 plates for vodka stills.
Sure.
Okay. 4 is we want to get up close to 150, but bourbon has to come out under 150, so we want to get up close to that. So the plates help us do that. However, we don't want to go over that. We're not trying to strip away flavor.
Sure.
Gotcha. Yeah. So not only do you own Justin Hartman's Distilling, but you're the head distiller, correct?
Right now, yes. Yep.
Right now.
I have another guy named Justin that's in production with me. We keep Justin's on this side of the wall.
Gotcha.
Yeah. Make it easy that way. Yeah. So when the staff comes back, just ask Justin.
Yeah, perfect.
Amazing. basically 70% of the flavor profile comes from the barrel. So it's all about the barrel.
Okay.
It's all about maturation.
So where are you getting your barrels from?
We teamed up with Independent Stave, which is
Oh, okay.
an accomplishment for a small distiller.
Absolutely.
Great guys. Been talking to them for a while. Finally got on their yes, you can order from us list, even though we're pretty small. Those are the barrels, the new white oak barrels you see around our tasting room.
Yep, yep.
So we had 20 come in a couple months back. We can't wait to fill them up. Yeah.
Cool.
It's exciting.
Yeah. We're also going to try out Calvin Cooperage.
Okay.
So I got really into barrels and different flavor profiles, and kind of wheedled my way down to 2 or 3 that we really liked. And we're going to try those out.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Now, just because you brought it up with how into barrels you are, we have to talk about your background and your educational background and how you got to this point, because you're very astute.
Yeah.
Sure. Well, I mean, wasn't a born and bred distiller by any means, but got into it just tasting bourbon with my dad years ago. I think actually it was Angel's Envy that got me into bourbon.
Nice.
Okay.
And then it was just one class after another class after another class. The first one I did was over at Black Button in Rochester with Jason. And I was like, yeah, I could definitely see myself doing it. But during the class, I was literally getting calls from I was a personal injury attorney at the time, still am.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So I was getting calls from work, even though I was
We
supposed
got
to.
one on retainer. It's fine.
Yeah, so hold on.
Oh, we're going to stop there?
Time out.
I was going to glaze right over that.
No, not at all. No, not when I'm here. So you were downstate as a lawyer.
Yeah.
Your wife forced you to move back by basically blowing up your social media.
Not
with
forced. This is
Buffalo.
going online. Not forced. It was mutual.
Yeah.
Mutual.
It was somewhat predetermined. For our friends and family are here, but she was, was going to be like, oh, let's see how we're doing in 7 years or so.
Right.
But yeah, she set the die pretty quickly.
Okay, so that goes on, and after you fell in love with the propaganda of Buffalo, you moved back. That's how I'm going to word it.
Yes.
So
yes.
from
Yeah,
there,
fair.
You came up here, started cranking on this. This obviously was a huge success, still is, and you're still growing. And then you never stopped being a lawyer? Like, how does that work?
No. I still do personal injury work on the side. In fact, I'm headed to Syracuse for a deposition next week.
How do you have time for this?
That's definitely taken a backseat. It was supposed to be the other way around. Like, this was supposed to be the hobby, and
Sure.
this would be like the part-time, and it's done a complete
It's
flip-flop.
reversed?
Yeah, it's like 60 hours here, 10 hours there.
So what do you have to do to maintain it's basically a license, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
You take classes, and then I practice, and I have kind of a small group of clients that I refer out and I keep track of.
No kidding.
Yeah, so if you're ever hurt in a car,
Interesting.
Call Justin Hartman.
there it is.
Look at that. I'm sure you don't have the same number repeating multiple times, do you?
No,
6666666.
I'm going to laugh on the numbers for his personal law. Match the mash bills for all of his products.
Switch up my jingle. Hurt in a van. Call Justin Hartman.
There you go.
Yeah, there it
Perfect.
is.
More people are hurt in vans.
Self-promotion.
It's terrible.
That's awesome.
All right, so getting back onto your story, because we touched on it a little bit during our episode where we actually rated this guy.
Yep.
And then from there, I was...
It's already gone, by the way. Delicious.
Yeah, we crushed it. But I was blown away at the institutes that you attended, because that's not, I don't know, per se normal with the amount of education that you have. So we'll pick it back up. So
Yeah, so
You came back-
I think most of my classes are out of Moonshine University.
Okay.
Yes, that is an actual place. It's
Moonshine
down in
University?
Moonshine University. That's the name they went with. It's down right in the heart of Bourbon Country, Louisville, Kentucky. I started with the 6-day distillers course and moved on to a bourbon stewards course. Picked up some classes along the way in Colorado, so I like to go down to Louisville every chance we get. In fact, we're finally doing the Kentucky Bourbon Festival. It's in
cool.
September. It's like the third week in September.
Okay.
We have our rooms booked for that. Yeah, and it's I can't say enough about Moonshine. They're great at educating and really filling out the gaps, because there's so much that goes into it that you kind of get glazed over in other classes, but they break it down, and they'll spend a full day on this, a full day on that.
Nice.
The class with Nancy Fraley was about maturation and blending, so it was 2 full days. Nothing to do with distilling, nothing to do with yeast, anything like that. Just maturation and blending, just how to care for a barrel after.
Wow.
After
Oh,
it's
interesting.
blended. Yeah, it's wild.
because a lot of people that we've met since we started the pod is they go to like Trocare Distilling or a local college for distilling, and it's mainly about beer, and then they barely talk about spirits. So you found something that's specifically spirits?
Specifically spirits.
Okay.
Yep. Has nothing to do with beer. Yep.
That's awesome.
It's absolutely distilling 100%. Yeah, it's pretty cool. They got a good program there, and it's taught me a lot. And then just having distiller friends in the community. I went and spent a day with a distiller friend on Cuca Lake, making a whiskey mash, and just things like that.
Nice.
Yeah.
So when do you plan on start doing your actually distilling the whiskey here?
We're hoping as soon as we can finish gearing up this guy right here, the deflator.
Okay.
Yeah, so we're able to run gin right now because we're bypassing the deflator.
Yeah.
So once we get, there's still a piece there that we're trying to calibrate, so to speak. Hopefully within a week or two.
Okay, cool.
Yeah. I mean, I'm sure there's going to be a lot of sample batches. Oh, nice.
Yeah,
Food time.
nice.
Yeah.
Yo, can you just check the camera, make sure she didn't budget? No, it's okay, perfect. Awesome. Well, that's really cool. That'll be very, very exciting for you to start doing it. And then you're going to go with the bourbon or the rye first?
So the way we're going to do it, because it's the two different bourbon mash bills, we'll spend like a month doing wheated bourbon.
Okay.
Then we'll spend a month doing rye bourbon.
Oh, cool.
Then switch back to the wheated bourbon. And then every so often we'll hit a rye whiskey. We'd like to eventually get into the single malt. I think the American single malt is going to be the next big thing.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay, interesting.
So we'd love to get into that. Yeah.
At the distillery itself, you do other things outside of just distilling. You have these whiskey talks, correct? Do you want to touch a little bit about those?
Sure, absolutely. Yeah, we do bourbon talks. In fact, our second one's coming up this weekend.
Oh, cool.
We do them usually the first or second weekend of a month. It's on a Saturday at noon. Free to attend. You just come on in, and it's not it's not meant to be a lesson so much as just an open forum.
Sure.
Where we're just chatting about bourbon. And I'll post the subject matter online. I think our last one was on maturation in the barrel,
Yep.
and it was all about, a lot of it to do is about toasting, because it's crazy what's going on in the bourbon world now. I don't think many people realize this, and they're not giving it its due, in my opinion, is that they just started toasting barrels like 5.5 to 7 years ago.
When you mean toasting, can you just explain that a little bit?
Yeah, absolutely. So you used to go down to Kentucky. In fact, first time I went with my dad and my brother, we went to and did a ton of distilleries, right? And everybody talked about their char. They'd say, okay, we have a char 3, we do a char 4. Nobody was toasting at that time. Toasting is essentially charring on steroids.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, when you char, you set the barrel on fire up to a minute. Like a char 4 is the barrel's on fire, the inside of the barrel, for a minute to create a nice charcoal level. It caramelizes the wood sugars, but also creates like this carbon filter, really. What they've been doing in the world of wine across the ocean for years is they've actually been toasting barrels, which they'll put a heated element inside the barrel for 45, 50, almost an hour, and they'll slowly cook it. That's
Instead of just setting it ablaze.
Then they set it ablaze.
Oh, okay. Nice.
So you char it on top of that, because the charring really is more for filtration than it is for tasting.
Sure.
So it's all about caramelizing those wood sugars. So they found with charring, we're getting a little caramelization, of course, but if you could cook it for 45 minutes, it's like a whole nother level of caramelization and bringing those wood sugars out towards the surface.
Wow.
And the big guys, they all do it now. If you go down there, everybody will tell you their toast, everybody will tell you their char, all of them. But they just started up about 5-8 years ago. And Gordon Long, one of the head salesmen out of Independent Stave, which is the biggest barrel producer in the country, if not the world, actually emailed him and said, hey, I'm doing this bourbon talks about toasting. I think it's kind of crazy how it's kind of rather new. Can you give me any insight on that? Emailed me back with a bunch of articles. They actually did a blog about it, and they're like, yeah, it is kind of new. Here's some articles about it. But to think that, all right, so 50 to 80% of the flavor profile comes from the barrel, right?
Yep.
And they just started toasting, charring on steroids about 5 years ago.
It's a whole new flavor profile.
So we've never had a 10-year toasted. We've never had a Pappy Van Winkle 15
It's an entire
That's
new product.
true.
It's an entire new. We're flipping the chapter on bourbon, and that's America's only native spirit. How wild is that?
Yeah.
That is crazy.
And not
Jeez.
enough people are like, they're kind of like, oh yeah, we're doing
Yeah.
this. You know, because I think they don't want to be called out. Or something. I don't know.
So does the method of which you're charring or burning the barrel have anything to do with how much is lost during the actual barreling process to like the angel share or anything like that?
Yes, absolutely.
Okay.
Believe it or not, the char goes up to like a 7 or 8, actually. People say it only goes to 1 to 4, but their Buffalo Trace tried to char 8, I believe, is either 7 or 8. The barrel was barely together. Like they lit this thing on fire.
It just holds.
Yes, exactly. So, and that's what
Burn on the ground.
And I was like, that, all right, yeah, we've topped it out.
Yeah, but then everyone's like, but did you taste it though? Because it actually tastes pretty good.
It aged for 5 minutes before. So it is a scale of, but absolutely, it affects that. That's why it's generally just been 1 to 4. 4 being like an alligator char where it's, it's getting a little iffy at that point in time.
Interesting.
Yeah.
That's really
So
cool.
I'm trying to word the question correctly because there's so much to it, but in regards to actually setting it ablaze, are they literally just holding a flame to the inside and hoping that the wood itself catches fire, and then they kind of let it slowly all encompass the flame, or do they have an accelerant? Because I'm sure they can't with using of liquid into it afterwards, right?
Yeah, that's a great question, and I don't know the answer to that. But
Yeah,
they do.
I was going to ask how you put it out.
Yeah.
Fire extinguisher.
They do douse it with like a thing of water. I've seen that, but that's a
Okay.
good point.
You know what I mean? Like, how do you
Right.
actually...
So it's like an electrode, and I saw it in person. They flip it over, but it looks like the inside just bursts into flames. And I never thought of that, to be honest with you. I'm like, yeah, of course, barrels do that.
Yeah.
Like,
Just spontaneously combust. That's it.
we're in Kentucky. That's what they do down here.
And some guys with a beard's like, it's been a minute, turn it off.
So that's a really good point. They must have some kind of, I don't know what it is.
I'm sure the salesman knows.
Yeah, that's a good question to ask.
So is that something that happens at the distillery, or does it happen at the barrel cooperage?
Cooperage,
Okay.
yeah.
Cool.
They do it. Some distilleries are now doing their own cooperage. Some have been for a while. I think Jim Beam has its own cooperage.
That makes sense.
I think that, and correct me if I'm wrong, but we talked with another distillery, and they were saying that they were putting additional pieces of wood in there that are charred.
Yes, so that's kind of another new trend, and the craft movement's kind of pushed that forward. You could do charred chunks, like oak chunks. You could do, it doesn't have to be oak. You could do any kind of wood.
Okay.
And they're kind of manipulating flavor profiles that way, and that's completely, to an extent, legal. And you could still call it bourbon.
Oh, okay.
There's a fine line there. Like, for example, Angel's Envy, believe it or not, it's not technically bourbon. And
Really?
It's right on the label. That's called Angel's Envy bourbon, but if you notice underneath the bourbon, they have to state port cask finished. And it's technically not bourbon, but they're allowed to state on the label what the base is. So if the base is bourbon, they can call it bourbon, or
Gotcha.
put that on the label. But they immediately have to follow it. It's like there's some restriction on the letter size and all this.
Just
So
because it wasn't in the new charred barrels, right?
it's because they added the port wine finish.
Sure, okay.
Because that's like a flavoring. So there's kind of a fine line there.
Yeah. Interesting.
And then you get people like me that walk in and read that on the label and think that it's like a higher end bourbon because
Yeah.
it's got a different finish. Like it must be better. Come to
well-
find out it's not even bourbon.
Technically, it doesn't
Technically,
fall in the definition.
I'm shocked that they source from MGP, too.
Yes.
Does MGP create their own whiskey at all?
They just started this year.
Oh, really?
Great, yeah.
Look at that.
It was just this last spring that they started.
If you're such a successful distillery and you're sourcing stuff out, it's like people that are in the whiskey business understand what MGP is,
Yes.
but most people don't understand that basically 93% of the stuff in stores is from MGP sourced whiskey.
It's insane.
So the fact that they're going to start putting stuff out, I wonder if they're going to stop distributing their.
That's the rub.
Yeah.
That's what there's been. If their brand takes off,
Right, sure.
You've only made so much whiskey, and to get back to that point, I mean, they're not the only ones doing it. Barton does contracting.
Oh, okay.
Lux Row does contracting. Bardstown Bourbon Company. If you ever get down to Bardstown, by the way, Bardstown's phenomenal. It's the craziest little town. Were we talking about this? I don't know if we were talking about this last time we were chatting, but it's like 40 minutes outside Louisville.
Okay.
It is the bourbon capital of the world.
We did.
Yeah.
Yes. I was telling you, it's like 5,000 people, but it's got this crazy thing where there's like 7 people murdered mysteriously in the last 5 years. Yeah, it's wild.
Nice.
It'll be on Netflix within like a year.
Oh yeah, there's a podcast about it called Bardstown. That's insane.
Oh, nice.
But anyways, that was a segue. I didn't know what we were talking about. Oh no, we were talking about Bardstown Bourbon Company. They
Making their
are
own.
the brand new big boy on the block.
Okay.
Oh, okay.
Beautiful, beautiful high tech facility. To the point where when you're doing the tour, you put on wireless walkie-talkie mics, and it's all high-end finishes. It's insane.
Really?
But while we were doing the tour, they were contract distilling for somebody, and it was called. They had a funny name. It was called Papa Smurf and Mama Smurf or something. I believe it was Papa Smurf. And they wouldn't tell us what that was. And we signed all these anonymous agreements, because people don't want. Some people frown upon this MGP process or this contract distilling process, and so they go great lengths with non-disclosures to try to hide that. And I don't know why you necessarily need to do that. Bullet doesn't. Bullet's been using MGP for 14 years or so. However long they've been around.
And they're like one of the biggest bourbon companies out there.
Yeah, and they're proud of it.
Yeah. I mean, there's nothing wrong with it if that's the way that you want to go.
Yeah.
But other distilleries that want to try to make their own product and put their own name on it, it's good to know what distilleries aren't using MGP. That way you can try something literally completely different than a lot of the other brands.
Right, but to that, MGP has a lot of profiles.
Sure, yeah,
so,
that's true.
And again, a lot of people, they'll buy a profile and they'll do something to it. Like, for example, us with the high wheat and the high rye.
Sure.
I'm not too sure there's another distiller out there doing that right now.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah.
Cool.
Jeez.
That's kind of the goal.
So let's talk about the food that we have in front of us, just
yeah.
because one, I'm hungry, and two, no, I'm just kidding. Two, you do a lot of other stuff outside of just the whiskey and the bourbon and the distilled spirits. You have a pretty good food menu too. Do you want to talk about that a little bit?
Sure. Yeah, we have a kitchen, full kitchen. It started off. The idea was, it started off with me saying, we'll get a free popcorn vending machine. Like one of those.
That's amazing.
Yeah,
Yes.
that's not going to.
Salt makes people drink, right? We'll just load them up with salt.
Yes, I thought I was a genius. I thought I broke, I cracked the code to a successul distillery.
Breaking the mold over here.
Yeah, and then no, let's get a small kitchen with some bites, and then we brought our GM on, and GM and actually Jeff Ware told us this too. He's like, people want food. You really should try to expand your kitchen as much as you can. Jeff Ware is the one of Resurgence next door.
Okay.
So we doubled the size of our kitchen. We expanded our menu. So we have appetizers ranging from pretzel bites, which we have here, nice charcuterie board, all the way to soups to salads to all the way up to sandwiches. And we're expanding like a beef and cheddar or a turkey sandwich off the panini. We're expanding a little bit. We're adding nachos. We also have a brunch, including biscuits and gravies, avocado toast. We're gonna have an egg bake that's coming out next week or two. Yeah, so we're getting there.
Do you do like mimosas and stuff too then?
Oh yeah, mimosas, Bloody Mary. They have a really cool Bloody Mary mix here.
Oh, cool.
And it was first time I had it. It was without any kind of when you put the toothpick full of all the extras. Yeah. So it was served to me, and I was like,
The shish kebab.
Where's my shish kebab? And they're like, just taste it. We didn't want the shish kebab to take away from it. And I was like, yeah, this is actually really good. But I've since made them add a little shish kebab. I'm not too sure that I like it.
You have to.
I'm like, come on, let's throw a pepperoni in there or something because I want to chew on something. I don't know.
Yeah.
So.
Do you have any happy hour specials or anything like that, food-wise?
Food-wise? Well, I don't know. So we last time we talked, I promised a happy hour come early in the year. I think I said January. But we're just coming out with it now. So I talked to the guy. We knew you guys were coming in. I talked to the GM and the bartender. Said, "Hey, let's roll out a happy hour. We wanted to do it. Now it's time." So they came out with something, and they put it in an envelope, so I don't know exactly what it is.
Nice.
Oh man,
this is awesome.
So we're revealing it on your podcast for the first time, and our followers will have to listen to your podcast to get a sneak peek, and we'll release it whenever your podcasts come out.
yeah.
So it is. So this will be our
It's literally
happy hour.
licked closed too,
I
so
know,
no one
I know.
can
So
take
it's
your
like
thing.
brand new.
I don't know who licked it. I kind of want to find that out.
My palms are starting to sweat. I'm getting all juicy.
Mine are
excited.
too.
I own the place.
Everything's $1. That'd be quite the prank. Free. I'm gonna take a drink before this. Yeah.
You just got punked. There's no happy hour.
Right.
Shut it down.
Shut it down.
Close the doors.
All right. So it's an email
Okay.
version. They gave me an idea what it would be. All right, so we're doing $6 food items. A pretzel. Our pretzel's right here. It's gonna be $6. I think it's normally 9 or 10.
Okay,
Not
cool.
bad. Nachos, which we're coming out with, I think we're priced around 11 or 12, $6. Why is it? Oh, it's 6 for $6. I was saying everything seems to be $6. Cocktails, we're doing a Kentucky Mule, $6,
Ooh.
and a Fitzgerald. So that's on our menu, and I believe that's a $10 item. That'll be $6. Resurgence IPA and our seasonal will also be $6. I think that's like a $1 savings. Garrett Thomas. And there's something about a magician.
Oh, cool. Yeah.
I'm not too sure if that's supposed to be
Garrett
part of it.
Thomas?
Yes, you
Yeah,
know him?
he's, again, I could be 100% wrong with this, but I'm pretty sure he makes the tricks for David Blaine.
All right.
Yeah,
Well,
he's like a
apparently
local
coming
magician,
in-
and he's mad good. He actually just started a YouTube channel too. Garrett, if you want to be on the podcast, let us know.
Yeah,
All right.
so,
But-
so first of all, hashtag not a sponsor. But this dude,
True.
this
Giving
is a
him
local
mad
dude
plugs.
that basically creates tricks for David Blaine.
Again, I could be wrong on that, but I believe so. I
That's
believe
insane.
he has like some tricks that he creates for David Blaine. Yeah.
Well, apparently he'll be in Thursday nights from 7 to 9.
Every Thursday?
I don't know.
Oh, sweet.
Can do Thursday. I think this was more of like a mock-up email. I'm not too sure.
But still, that's awesome.
Yes.
So you got the 6 for 6.
Yes, 6 for 6. Again, that's pretzel $6, nachos $6, Kentucky Mule $6, our Fitzgerald $6, and Resurgence in our seasonal. We always have like a rotating seasonal $6.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
Well, you heard it here first, everybody. Share this and let everybody
Yes.
know that Hartman's is the new place for happy hours.
There it is. There it is. So it'll start.
That's amazing.
In a week or so. Yeah.
So speaking of performers, are you planning on having actual events here at all in the future, or are you sticking with the magician for now?
Well, if he writes for David Blaine,
Seriously, what else would you
Yeah,
need?
really,
The man
it's so
needs a
cool.
stage.
He actually did a trick on me when I was like in this training program for my job.
Oh yeah, me too.
Where
bro.
he had me and my friend sit across from each other, and he like put it wasn't a spell. He's not a witch, but he's a magician. But he put this thing on us, and then he touched my friend's nose, and I can feel it. Like it's real.
Come on.
It's real shit. It's crazy.
you felt it on your nose.
Yeah, on my nose.
Yeah.
Like he's like, what happened? What did you feel? And I'm like, I felt you touch my nose. And he goes, I touched his nose. I didn't even touch you.
I
Wasn't
wanna
even
see
near
this.
you.
That's all right.
He's very, very good.
I would have walked out. I would have turned around and been like, you know what? Good for you, man. Enjoy your life. I'm gonna go eat some freaking pretzels. You're out of your mind. Like, stay out of Louisiana with the voodoo. Like, something's going
In that
on.
case, maybe he's not going to be here.
It's like, I don't want this guy touching my
Magician
people.
with drinks, though, that's sick.
Yeah.
Because people are going to be all over it.
Yeah.
It's really cool.
Wow.
It's a sweet
All right.
happy hour deal that you
Yeah,
got.
nice job.
All right, I guess Thursdays. Thursdays is the
All
day
right.
for it.
We'll be back. We'll be back Thursdays.
Fantastic. To get back to events.
Yes.
Yeah. So definitely. In fact, we just had a chat with Resurgence about some upcoming events we'd like to pair up with them.
Okay.
One that I'm really, really pushing for because I this is just close to my heart. I've always loved it. I don't know why, but is the Kentucky Derby. We're going to throw
Oh,
a
yeah.
Kentucky Derby party like no other.
All right, if there's horses involved, I gotta show up.
Yeah.
Mike has no idea what the Kentucky Derby is. We've established this like
Mike,
3 years.
There's three.
He thought there were actual horses running around the backyard.
I'll tell you the backstory.
size of your backyard.
I know. Listen. I'll tell you the backstory. We're at Finger Lakes Distilling,
Oh,
and we're
my
talking to
God.
Brian McKenzie. Great guy. And he was doing another party for the Kentucky Derby. And in my mind, I'm like, there's got to be horses.
Yeah.
Like, there's horses going to show up. So I asked him, I'm like horses? Like, are there going to be horses around? I said, so, like, what is it? Like, what are you doing? And he goes, well, Mike, it's a horse race. And I was like, no, I get that. Like, I know that, but it was too late. So now this guy who went to, where'd he go? He went to
Cornell.
Yeah, he went to Cornell. So now he thinks I'm a moron. I'm like, great, this is perfect. I went to college. Please have faith. And I'm like, great. Now he doesn't know that I don't know anything about it. And then we go to
So no, I just keep bringing it up everywhere
yeah.
we go.
Yeah, see?
It's
Then we
funny.
went to Buffalo Distilling, and it came up again.
Yeah.
And
I
they're
know.
like, what is it, Mike? And I was like, there's horses, guys. There's horses. And I'm like shamed about it.
They actually planted my response.
Yeah, really.
I'm sure all you guys
Yeah,
texted.
everyone's working together. So you're gonna do a party for
Yeah,
it.
absolutely.
Well, what is it gonna entail? Just a watching party?
It's going to be watching. We're going to do drink specials where
Okay.
you can actually the drink special will determine because they run the horse race all the way on I think it's ABC or NBC. NBC actually
Yep,
carries
yeah.
it. So whatever horse wins, we're going to mimic a drink special after that. So
Oh,
if like
cool.
a long shot wins, it's like a 20-1 or a 30-1 that wins an earlier race. The drink special will be like that ridiculous.
Oh,
so
sweet.
So you'll be able to root on horses throughout the day because that'll drop the price of the drink. We've got a bunch of other stuff planned, live music, things like that. Yeah, I love the Kentucky Derby.
And the outfits? The outfits,
The
gotta be
outfits
there.
will be full blown. Yeah.
Yes.
Nice.
Let's
This
go.
is awesome.
Yeah, absolutely.
Huge hats.
So, yeah.
Yeah, so like also in your actual tasting room or your bar area, you do have TVs, so
Yes.
it's a good entertaining space. This isn't your typical distillery where you're coming in and you're sitting at one random tasting room bar where there's no engagement. You have a full staff of bartenders.
Yes.
It's an actual event to come here.
Oh, yeah.
And
So-
it's a huge bar.
Yeah, right. It's a huge bar, gorgeous bar.
Yeah.
And one of your, the bar manager, he came from a different bar in Buffalo, correct?
Correct. So we, Cameron Rector, our general manager, came from Vera.
Yep.
And Vera was like one of the, premier cocktail bars.
Hell yeah.
Probably one of the first that I fell in love with, come from New York City.
Yeah.
We went for a cocktail making class, my wife and I, for a birthday party. And we're like, wow, these cocktails taste like they're straight out of Manhattan, where we were living at the time, right in New York City. Like you'd find them on the Lower East Side, like the hottest new, mixology place.
Sure.
So lo and behold, 2.5 years later, we kind of our paths crossed, and he's designed our cocktail program along with Joe White. And Joe White's he started over at Buffalo Proper. He's helped start the Revelry in Rochester. He was at Patina 240. I always get that wrong. So I honestly think we have right now 2 of the top 3 mixologists in Buffalo.
That's awesome.
We're spoiled, to say the least, and they're doing a great job.
It's so cool.
Yeah.
We met him a few times. He's super down to earth, and he knows
Stuff.
He knows it inside and out. Yeah. It's wild how much he brings to the table, and you would never expect it.
Right.
He's just there. He's like, no, this is what we're doing, and then it's always rock star. It's awesome.
He always brings his A game, for sure. Yeah.
So during the happy hour, you also mentioned Resurgence. And if people know the area, you know that you're like quasi-attached to Resurgence a little bit.
Yes.
You have a common space out there. Is there any collaboration in the future for either them using your barrels for finishing some of their beer in? Is that way too far in advance, or are you guys using some of the space together?
It's not too far in advance. In fact, they just took 2 of our barrels yesterday.
Look at this. I'm on my game today.
I know.
I'm killing it.
I know. Yeah. Go home. What are you doing? What are you, a co-host on a podcast?
Yeah, really. It's like I'm informed for some reason.
I know.
That's sweet.
So stay tuned. They're going to be making a beer in it. They used one of our high wheat, high rye, and
nice.
I'm not exactly sure, but they said, hey, we'll keep you in the loop, and we'll do some kind of event around it.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
So also speaking of barrels really quick, you have a barrel program.
Yes.
You want to talk about that a little bit and what that entails? Is that designed yet? I know last time it was kind of up in the air a little bit still.
As far as contract distilling, or you're talking about the Bondsman Club?
The Bondsman Club, I think.
Okay. Yeah. The Bondsman Club, we're still working out the final editions of it. And part of the reason why it's just we actually have a list of people, so if you're interested, email me. We're only take 100 people in the first edition of it, but essentially, yes, it's a barrel program where you purchase the rights to a bottle. I believe we have it at 25 years down the line, and that's because we're dedicated to Buffalo. We're going to be here in 25 years.
It's awesome.
And you're going to have one of the first barrels off the still that we're going to put away. We're going to put a plaque on it that says Bondsman Club, first edition. So you'll always be able to see it here in our distillery for the next 25 years. We're going to put away 2 just in case something happens to one.
Yeah.
Maybe in 2 different buildings,
Right.
And that includes other perks as far as a bottling party we'll throw. You get discounts on food. You get discounts on retail items. Special invites to special events. We want to do a farm-to-table dinner actually here in the distillery space. You'll get a special invite to that. So, yeah, right now we're just taking names for it because we want to make sure that we're able to offer that product right away. We don't want to say, okay, your first edition, but we don't barrel your first barrel for a couple of months down the line.
Sure, yeah.
Or we can't offer you a bottling party until 6 months later. We want to be able to make sure that everything's on the table and we can offer it from go.
Well, you can put Buffalo Happy Hour on one of those lists because we're definitely in to do that.
All right, fantastic.
It's so cool. I don't know any other distillery that does that.
Yeah, I mean, there's New Rift was one of the ones, brand new one just outside of Kentucky that did something similar. And I was talking to one of the people over there, and that's how I kind of got the idea. They were selling, there's 2 years, before they made a single product, they were selling bottles for $100 a piece, and it was just a right to buy a bottle in 2 years.
Really?
So, something similar, which was interesting, and people were lining up for it. And they kept selling out. It was insane. And so I don't know what they called their club. They had a different name for it. But and that's why I thought, all right, that's kind of cool, but let's do our own kind of take on it.
Cool.
There's a lot of people that collect batch bottles.
That batch one?
Yeah. So, excuse me. So when those opportunities come up, it's like a legitimate crowd of the same. It's literally a community, and they're like, dude, you went on this? My name's been on the list for 10 months, bro. Like, where you been? Like, I thought you were in. It's like, oh, God, I'm a loser. Then you show up, and then there you are. You get your first bottle, first batch, and then you literally keep it for as long as possible. And then, I don't know, like a milestone, like first bowling or something like that, you crack it open. But
absolutely. It becomes like a trophy.
Yeah.
On the shelf.
Absolutely.
I had New Riff's first batch, or I had whatever.
Right.
Yeah, absolutely.
So,
obviously, because you guys are going to be huge. So
we think so.
Absolutely.
We think we're in the right spot.
Do you have room to expand here at all?
Not here, but we are looking at other properties.
Really?
Yeah, like directly
Already?
across the
Wow,
street.
Look at you.
We would like to eventually have our own space. I'd like to move into, believe it or not, a bigger still.
Yeah.
And have a larger storage area.
Sure.
Yeah.
Because right now your storage area for barrels is specifically the one in your distillery is what?
Yeah, the one here is 48. It's a rick house. It's we call it our urban rick house.
Yep.
It's 48. It holds 48 barrels.
Okay.
Yeah, which is roughly 11,000 bottles of bourbon worth.
Oh, okay, cool. So just speaking of resale, since you guys are new, are you in a like certain set of bars? Are you in all the bars in the Buffalo area? And like, what about liquor stores? All of them in the area? And then what about states too?
We are in nothing yet except for Tim Stevens' whiskey bar.
Oh, okay.
Yes. Lucky Day. I'm sorry.
Lucky Day.
Oh, Lucky Day.
Yeah, I gotcha.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, I saw that there.
Yeah, Tim Stevens is one of the best cocktail guys out there, and he owner of Ballyhoo as well. In fact, he's one of the very first people I talked to when we were looking into this.
Really?
Yeah, because I almost one of the first properties. There's a small building next to Ballyhoo, and I talked to the developer of that and owner of that building, and he's like, you should be Tim Stevens. Tell me your idea and stuff like that. And so he was one of the first people like 4 years ago that I talked to about this, and I just saw him. He came a couple weeks after our opening. He's like, that's crazy, man. We talked about this like 4 years ago.
Right.
Like, good for you.
Yeah.
I'm like, I know. Look at you. You got like the best whiskey bar in Buffalo, which is awesome.
Right.
So
Place is
yeah,
awesome.
it was a kind of foregone conclusion that he wanted to carry our product, which we're super happy about.
Yeah.
So we immediately got him a batch. But really, it's just been a problem of scaling up.
Sure.
Our batches. We just did a batch of bourbon. It was our largest batch yet was 417 bottles.
Wow.
So and we're blowing through so many at the bars. We got to make sure that we
That's
have
true.
enough. So we got a list of bars that have reached out to us that want to carry us, which is great, and we're hoping to hit the sales road the next couple of weeks.
Yeah. Yeah, it's got to be tough because your bar is always packed. So it's hard for you to dedicate. Yeah, really. Right. It's hard for you to dedicate some bottles for other areas.
Right. Yeah,
crazy.
We didn't anticipate this positive response. So.
Yeah, because when we first met, you were saying that the growth that you've experienced was literally just organic, and then it was about 3 days after you actually opened with your grand opening, the news was here.
Yeah.
The local news, and you're like, I guess the news is coming. Like I gotta make chairs because we don't even have chairs yet.
It's true. Been pretty well.
And then from there, like all these people are now reaching out to you. And do you even have a sales rep, or is it just all organic and people are reaching out just because they know what's going on in the area?
Yeah, that's the next step, a sales rep.
So you don't even have a sales rep. It's people
you're
literally
blowing
reaching
through
out
the
to you
products.
guys.
Jesus.
That's nuts.
Taking my call. I'm taking the calls.
Good for you.
Yeah, I wish we had that.
Yeah, really.
Just kidding. No, we're getting there.
It's
That's awesome.
Thank
Literally
you.
just
Thank
organic to have the amount of outreach that you have, and I mean, it's just that's awesome.
Yeah, no, we've been super happy with it. Yeah.
So what's next for Hartman's?
Yeah, well, I think kind of what we just talked about, distribution. We want to
Yep.
get our name out there. We want to be in the premier liquor stores and have the local liquor store and be on the shelves. So I think that's next. I think expanding to do that. In fact, we just had to put in another order for more MGP barrels because we went through our first year's worth in a month and a half. I'm kind of trying to. I always try to look about 5 years out.
Mm-hmm.
So we're trying to plan for the next turn or next evolution of Hartman's.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And then the happy hour.
Yep.
Yeah. Well, the happy hour is like the immediate thing. We're also doing tasting tours. I'm sorry, tours. I just posted. I don't even think we put them online yet, so nobody even knows that they're there. But you can book a tour online now, and it'll include. Oh, this is a great segue. This is
Here we go.
Yeah,
This is
let's
it.
go
Here
for
we
it.
go.
Wow. Kill it.
So it will include a tasting of our brand new bourbon
There you go.
chocolate balls.
Nailed it.
Yeah.
Keep talking.
Yeah. So, so part of what I wanted to do here in Buffalo is bring like the Kentucky Bourbon Trail to Buffalo. And one of the things you see at every tour or tasting you do in Kentucky is a bourbon chocolate. They call them bourbon balls or bourbon truffles.
Mm-hmm.
We teamed up with Blue Table Chocolates. They're over there by 5 Points Bakery. They got a brand new shop. We tasted them about a year and a half ago when they had like stands at different craft fairs. Fell in love with their chocolates. Very, very, cutting edge, tasty chocolates. Came to them with the idea. It's been about a year in the making, believe it or not. And we just released these last week. They are, so let's pass it on here.
Yeah.
Oh
Let's
my
go.
gosh,
Yeah,
yes,
please help
please.
yourself. They even
They're cool. They're like a nice little dark blue color.
They asked for our blue Pantone number, and they said we'll kind of make like a marbled variation
nice.
of
Oh,
that.
that's cool.
And
sweet.
It was about 4 rounds in the making. So yeah, part of your tasting will be 3 different whiskey products, and at the end we'll also taste them with the chocolate. Yeah.
Wow.
So if you have a little bit of that and a little bit of whiskey, actually,
This is incredible.
yeah. So it's
Yeah.
made with our bourbon. Yeah. It took Blue Table when they started actually working on it. Well, I say about 3-4 months, and that's because they're perfectionists. Ben over there is an absolute perfectionist. He wants to get it 100% spot on.
That is phenomenal.
Yeah.
I could eat that whole box.
up the
and that's
bourbon?
dangerous.
No
Yeah.
words, man.
Oh,
Pick
yeah.
up the bourbon. Are you
So
kidding
we're
me,
retailing
Justin?
them.
Are you serious? This is insane. These are so good.
Thank you. Yeah. So that'll be part of the tasting as long as a full tour. It'll be about 45 minutes long. Deep cuts into some of the educational parts of it. Full tour of our facility, a tasting that'll include the chocolate and a souvenir glass.
Oh, souvenir glass. Nice.
Absolutely.
Yeah, because you got a lot of merch over there too, right? At the corner.
Again, yeah, merch. That's what they do down in the Kentucky Bourbon Trail better than anybody. You know, they push the merch. So I wanted Glencairn glasses, rocks glasses. We built that entire merch stand is actually built from hand.
Oh,
Built
sweet.
from scratch, absolute scratch. I designed it based on some pictures I took down there. We had a retired welder friend that welded it for us, literally built from scratch. We sanded it, painted the whole nine. So yeah, it'll include one of our small tasting Glencairn glasses.
Oh, sweet.
Yeah.
Solid.
Yeah, $15. So book them today. 10 people a tour. I think it's 2 hours on Saturday, starting the week after Valentine's Day.
Sweet.
All on the Buffalo Happy Hour.
Yeah.
So
Look at
there
all
it
this.
is.
Well, yeah, people don't even know about that.
We got to post this soon.
I don't think
It's
my
going
wife
tomorrow.
knows about that. I might have to ask her for.
You're like, hey, honey, just to let you know.
I just
Sorry.
committed to about 7 Saturdays.
So, can you talk a little bit about the building? Because this building is historic too, right?
Oh, absolutely.
Do you know the history behind the building?
I do. So this was the E.B. Holmes Machining Co. building.
Okay.
E.B. Holmes started as a cooperage. Oh my gosh, I used to know the exact year. I want to say like 1864. I might have made that up, but it was somewhere around. But they were the longest running company in Buffalo because they ran all the way up until 1992.
Really?
1991, 92, which blows my mind.
Yeah.
And they started as a cooperage, so they started making the barrels, right? And then they were like, oh, let's find a way where you don't have to hand make every barrel. They patented the first machine that made barrels.
Really?
And
Wow.
the very barrels that we put our whiskey in now. And they did that for years. They were a machining co. So then they made all the different parts, and they called them barrel dressers, that they like wrapped the wood around and everything like that. So that stood on this entire lot where we are, the Rock Gym, Surgeons, this entire, I guess you could call it complex. It just, over the years, it deteriorated to a point where they were just using the space where Resurgence is now, and everything else kind of just fell apart.
Sure.
And so that was the only space they could actually salvage circa 20 years later when they were doing the build out of this. So we're in a brand new building, however, it's where E.B. Holmes used to be. And to pay homage to them, we went into the safe that they had here when they were throwing out all their drawings. And we salvaged a bunch of incredible, straight from one of them's dated 1897, original drawings of these barrel stave.
That is so
barrel
sick.
dressers. So
Wow.
that's the artwork hanging around. I still have to get plaques for them. In fact, somebody just made them. I got to go pick them up. But look at the dates on them. They're all original dates: 1904, 1897.
That's so
It's
cool.
insane.
Was that just coincidence that you happened to find this place and then you found the history and you're like, whoa, shit, I'm a distillery. What a coincidence.
A little bit. I was working with, so Ellicott is the developer on the project. Resurgence owns their building. I was working with them, and the first time I met him at 301 Ohio, which was their at the time, brand new building, residential building across the Ohio Street here. And I pointed out, I'm like, that's an old cooperage. How cool would that be? I didn't know, but they're already in the works to acquire.
Oh, sweet.
So, a year and a half later, we're lined up, kind of pseudo lined up at a different property, or I think it was actually like about 6 months later, that they came back to us and said, yeah, by the way, we were purchasing that property, and we think you should take a look at it.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
What a
how's
good
that?
story.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah,
It
that's cool.
was kind of, serendipitous.
Absolutely.
So speaking of stories, we always like to talk about the origination of the distillery's name. Now yours is kind of obvious,
Yeah.
but did you have other names that you were considering and then you're like, let's just go with Hartman's? Or was it just always known that you wanted to have a company in your name?
No, that was not always known. In fact, I resisted. I was the holdout vote.
Okay.
I don't know, not so much like, I don't like to be like egotistical or
Sure.
something like that, but also what happens if it fails?
Right.
I'm still an attorney. I don't know. I'm associated with a bankrupt distillery.
Yeah, it's like,
so that was more it. I was like,
that. Yeah.
No, that makes sense.
I don't want you to defend me.
Save it after you. Yeah, so that was the last holdout vote on that. I wasn't too keen on that. But we hired a branding firm, and we went. The process had to be about. We started in October, and we decided a name in January. And this was some intense. 4 rounds of names. I think we got 12 names in total, 4 rounds.
Okay.
And at the end, they just were like, you know what? It has a heritage feel. It's just authentic to you. It helps tell your story. So there were a bunch of other names in the works, and I think at first we were targeting names that had something to do with the history of the First Ward, like an old manufacturing company, or I think one was Mutual Rowing Club, which they have a park named after. But in the end, it was just, it just felt like it was the best fit.
And it's simple too. Like, it's not overcomplicated. It's to the point, and then it's recognizable.
Yeah.
Like, where you at? Oh, I'm at Hartman's, and then everyone already knows. So that's cool too.
Yeah.
Did any thought go into the actual branding of your bottle by you, or was that because you're one of the only distilleries that we've seen that has the raised edge with your Hartman's label on it? What was that thought process on?
Sure. Yeah. So we designed that entire bottle. And by we, I mean myself, my partner on the project, Bob Hava. We went through a million different bottles. What do we like? What's important to us? Well, we want it, obviously 750. We want it to be able to fit inside of a well. We want it to be able to fit under a shelf. Typical shelf heights on back bars are 12 and a half, 13 inches. So we had some parameters, and then we looked at different bottles, and we went to our branding firm. Came back to, we gave them kind of the parameters we liked. They came back to us with a couple of different versions. And they're like, this kind of fits your 1950s nostalgia kind of theme. We think this might be a good way to go about it.
Nice.
So as far as the logo on the side, that was kind of just, hey, what do you think about something embossed or engraved? Yeah. We talked about something up at top. We talked about something going up the seam here.
Sure.
And then when I think it was Block Club who came up with that.
Oh, okay.
We felt, we were like, oh, let's run with that.
Yeah.
And when it came to us, we didn't expect it to have such a cool feel as it helps you hold the bottle.
Absolutely, yeah.
One of a football.
Yeah, one of the factors that we use when we do our own episode is we rate the whiskey based off of the label branding, the nose, initial taste, ending notes, and we get a final rating. And this one was our best rated because we love the fact that the bottle is specific to Hartman, not just the label, because you can create a label and stick it on an empty bottle. But this bottle, if you peel off the label, it's always going to be a Hartman's bottle, which was huge for us when we were rating this. Awesome. So that was just a sweet touch that you guys had.
Yeah, no, that really worked out, and that was all Block Club's idea about the side. And we did also want to put Buffalo, New York on the bottom.
Oh, okay, cool.
Yeah.
We didn't even notice that.
Yeah, I didn't even see that, to be honest.
That's
so really
sick.
thinned up, just kind of a shout out. Again, we wanted, if the label comes off, you end up using it, because it is a very sturdy bottle. We also wanted a bottle that was really heavy, could hold up and people could use it for water if they wanted to. We wanted to make sure that people knew it was from Buffalo, New York product.
That's sweet.
Yeah. That's huge. Wow.
No,
so what about social media? Are you guys on social media where people can, actually, I think you're doing a giveaway right now, right?
Yes. So we're really big on Instagram.
What do you work here?
I had to think about that.
Yeah, it's true.
I follow that.
What? Now what are we giving away?
It's 1904, Justin. You should get the dates right. Secondly, goodness. Anyways, your giveaway.
Yeah. That's funny. Social media, we have Hartman's _distilling for Instagram. Facebook's Hartman's Distilling Co. Our website's hartmansdistilling.com. And just trying to get on and hit up the Instagram or Facebook 2-3 times a week. Let people know what specials we got, or if there's a giveaway going on. Yeah,
sure. And now I know that this is probably it's definitely going to air after the giveaway because that's ending relatively soon, right?
Yes,
today or tomorrow or something like that.
Yeah.
3 hours, 26 minutes.
Jeez. I bet you 14 times.
If I don't win, I'm going to be a little mad. But anyway, are you going to plan on doing giveaways relatively frequently? So should people really pay attention to your Instagram account to make sure that they're entered?
Yeah, we'd like to do it once a month.
Okay.
This is the goal. We'll do one giveaway once a month.
Nice.
Run it for about 2 weeks, so it's it's not too in your face. We're always giving away something, but it's kind of just keeps you something to look forward to.
Sure.
Yeah.
Cool. Great. Well, is there anything else that you would like to highlight? Because we're basically all good here. Is there anything else that you'd like to highlight about your distillery?
No, man. I think I just want to thank you guys for coming in.
absolutely.
You know, we really appreciate your podcast and what you guys bring to the Buffalo whiskey scene.
Yeah.
You know, and not just happy hour, but the Buffalo whiskey scene.
Sure.
It's really cool.
Yeah, thank you. Appreciate that. Well, thank you for your time.
Yeah.
We'll see you soon.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks, man.
Yep.